I just wanted to go over some things that we are sort of have in process, let you know some things that are on deck that we are hoping to work on or have been working on recently, some upgrades to the system. Recently, we expanded the capability of the EIM system to accept direct push information. So if you're working with sites that have geoprobe information on a cleanup site or something like that, the original EIM system wasn't really well set up to handle that kind of information. Now it can. We're working a little further. This well summary page that I showed you, where we can consolidate and upload new documents that are correlated to this well, we're sort of expanding the capability of that and trying to make it kind of iron out a few issues that we don't like about it. And it's going to get even more and more powerful in the way it behaves. And it's going to be more and more capable to handle you adding documents about a well that you think are important in the coming decades for the agency, for the public. Again, remind you that we are a public agency, and part of the effort behind all of this, the last 5 years of effort, we weren't doing a very good job of sharing our information with the public. A lot of our groundwater information has been siloed. It's been hidden away in independent databases, on independent computers at someone's desk out in a region, but the public would have difficulty accessing it, let alone some coworkers in a different program. So here, all of the things that you've been seeing today are about starting to do a better job of sharing our information with the public. We are doing one of the things about the water level information in particular. In the past, the history has just been that not all of the pieces that you need to normalize water level information in 3 dimensions, in the vertical dimension, to a common datum across the entire state, so that every single well's water level relates in space to all of the rest of the well's water levels across the entire state. Folks 20 years ago in the agency, or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago, weren't really thinking in that mindset. So a lot of the information is just missing, and we just don't have that information, so those water levels will probably never be normalized. But there are a lot of water levels in the EIM system that don't have the necessary metadata that could, if somebody put the effort to update that information. And then, bam, you can plot them on a hydrograph. You can display them on a map. You can make potentiometric head maps across large regions using all those wells, et cetera. So that's probably an area that, that's a very time-intensive process. And really what it boils down to is a particular program in the agency or a particular project manager in a program saying, I have to have this information in order to do my job. I can't make a head map across my site until I normalize, get the metadata in, and then I normalize my water levels. So it's going to be probably on an as-needed basis. So just in summary, I think Kirk and Chris and I really thank you for giving us your morning. I really appreciate it. I hope it's been helpful. We've gone pretty fast. It wasn't intended to be a training. It's more like just exposure, demonstration of some of the possibilities, some bringing you up to speed about some things that have been happening that have been kind of quiet over the last 5 years. We've been so busy working on it. But, here are the main themes that I think are the take-home messages for today's workshop. Again, standardizing everything into 3D space. That's really never been done for the agency before. The new possibilities of looking at big data sets. Chris mentioned that there are 3 million water quality records for groundwater in the EIM system. And that's a real mind shift there, thinking about the possibilities of, wow, what can I do with databases of this scale? What kind of questions can I answer that I've never been able to answer before? I think it's obvious the benefit of sharing information. Even though you maybe collect it for one reason, somebody else might want to use that same information for a different reason. This system allows you to share the data for any reason that you have for what your business is. And I hope you also noticed that a lot of the emphasis and time has been poured into trying to make connections between things. so that you don't have independent pieces of information. You have one piece of information that's quickly digitally linked to a whole bunch of different things. So an EIM well can go to a well log, it can go to photos, it can go to the facility site system. One of the things that we're working on right now, and I encourage the water quality program hydros to again talk to their program management, and is that we're trying to establish a link between the Paris database and the monitoring measurements for groundwater that are in the Paris database back over to the EIM system, so that you can use all these tools that we've been showing you in the EIM system to evaluate the data that's in Paris, that's been submitted to Paris by the permittees. And of course, opening up our information to the public. So, in addition to the sort of the general EIM training videos, I made a series of videos that are specific to the groundwater components of the EIM system, and those are posted here on the Groundwater Data Center homepage, the internal version that you have access to. So you can also watch those. They're a little outdated, but the basic principles still apply. And here's where you can get access to the more, the general EIM training videos. There is certainly a lot of information available to help with how to use and interact with EIM. There aren't really any formal resources internally here to the agency about how to use ArcGIS, how to use Rockware, that sort of thing. You know, you're always welcome to just stop by and ask questions if you get permission to purchase that kind of software. You know, we've spent the time to try and learn how to use those systems. Our managers have identified the purchase of those systems as worthwhile for the things that we do for them. So that's really, you know, getting access to the software is really between you and your program management to buy the software. And then, you know, you have resources in here just with your colleagues who already know how to use those things, or formal training. You know, there's training classes for Rockware. There's definitely a lot of training classes for ArcGIS that are given by formal organizations. But we're always available to talk one-on-one if necessary. Well, thank you all very much for showing up. And again, like Chris says, just send us an email if there's something that you think of later or you have a question. And thank you again.